So, Jesus says to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. One of the things I love about this Palestinian Jew that never looked at other people and said you're inferior is that he didn't put boundaries, he didn't put qualifiers behind who is your neighbor. He didn't say, like, for example, love your neighbor who voted like you. Love your neighbor who looks like you. Love your neighbor who is the same religious background as you. He didn't put boundaries around your neighbor. He said, no. Everybody's welcome at the table. And so for us, man, it's important that we choose to love and not to judge. You know, as I think about Jesus, I think about the reality that he would say, I want people who follow me to be known by how deeply they love, not by how deeply they judge, right? And so I would just say to us, hey, remember, there are no boundaries around. Jesus didn't put boundaries or qualifiers around who our neighbor is. We got to love our neighbors and love them. Don't judge them. Nobody was ever judged into something positive or a movement. You can love people into positive relationships and positive movement. And I would say this too. I would say try to be helpful, not just compatible. I mean, let's say it that way. Because here's the thing. Say, for example, a Jew and a Samaritan. A Samaritan would not be compatible with a Jew in their minds. It's like, no, you grew up different than I did. Jews hated Samaritans for generations and generations. There would never have been the idea of a good Samaritan in a Jew's mind. That couldn't happen. Well, the bottom line is that while a Jew and a Samaritan would look at each other normally in their culture, in their context, much like we look at each other at work or at school or in our neighborhoods, and we go, oh, we're not compatible because of these weird social norms or boundaries we've drawn because of society. No, Jesus blew that up. He subverted that. He said no to that, and he said, no. We all need compassion. And I love it that a Samaritan looks at a Jew and says, you need compassion. A Jew looks at a Samaritan and says, you need compassion because you're human. And we all need that compassion in our lives. And therefore, I would say this. It's interesting. If you look at those that are helpful, they're usually not exclusive. But if you look at those that are exclusive, they're usually not that helpful because they're concerned about compatibility. Do you have the same political views? Do you have the same views on how to parent? Do you have the same skin color? Do you, all these things, right? That are you divorced? Or are you not? Do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you go with people that do? Like all these things that Jesus said, no. How many of us need compassion? Okay, that's your neighbor. And so for us, it's important to choose to be helpful over being compatible. Also, I would say this. It's important for us to choose humility over arrogance in life. And I know that sounds cute, but man, when we're arrogant, we say, well, my ugly is not as ugly as your ugly. My better is better than your better. And man, for us, we would have to say, no. The table that we want to set for people that we're going to eat with, much like Jesus ate with all types of people, is a table of humility. And when we're humble, we say we can learn from anybody. When we humble, we're saying everybody is welcome because everybody is valued the same. God doesn't love you different than he loves me. He doesn't have more for you than he does for me. No. He loves us all the same. And humility says, hey, I'm willing to learn from you. You're willing to learn from me. We're willing to collaborate, to overcome differences, to not just overcome them, but to celebrate them and to go, difference actually makes us stronger. Difference actually helps us grow. And it takes humility in life to know that and to embrace that, as opposed to arrogance. Arrogance says, there's really no one I can learn from. I'm just superior. And that never helps shape people, that helps shape a city, that helps shape the world in a positive way. Humility is at the foundation of all great movements, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to start something historic, and when we're starting something historic, it's loving, it's helpful, and it's humble.